I want you to imagine something for just a second here.
Okay.
Imagine an event that lasts for just a few weeks. Like it comes and goes in less than a month.
Right, a really tight window.
Exactly. But in that tiny, fleeting window of time, it generates a financial windfall that is actually larger than the entire annual budget of several sovereign nations.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you have whole cities transforming, billions of people tuning in simultaneously, and just these massive rivers of capital flowing across borders in the blink of an eye.
See, that sounds like a theoretical scenario from an advanced macroeconomics textbook or something. Like
Right.
the kind of stress test you'd run on a global financial system just to see what happens when you concentrate all that global demand into a single month.
Yeah, it really does sound theoretical. But today, we are bringing that scenario into reality for you.
We are.
We're doing a deep dive into this incredible piece of source material. It's titled The Golden Whistle, Inside the Economics of FIFA World Cups.
And it is fascinating.
It is. And our mission for you today is to look past the dramatic goals.
Right, we're ignoring the actual sports part for a minute.
Exactly. We're going to look past the crying fans in the stands, past the shiny gold trophy. And we want to examine the World Cup specifically as a complex global business case study.
Because that's what it is at its core.
It is. We want to understand the exact mechanics of how this massive economic machine operates.
And to truly unpack the mechanics of this machine, I mean, we really have to establish the sheer baseline scale of the capital we're talking about here.
Yeah. Lay it out for us.
Well, the numbers involved require a complete shift in perspective. Like if we look at the financial cycle for 2023 to 2026,
Right.
which is the 4-year period that culminates in the 2026 tournament,
Right.
the governing body expects to generate approximately $13 billion in revenue.
$13 billion for one 4-year cycle.
Yes.
I mean, to put that in perspective for, your daily business context, if you're in India, you are looking at over 1.1 lakh crore rupees.
It's just staggering.
Just for one single tournament, 1.1 lakh crore.
Right. And think about the volume of transactions required to hit that number. That kind of revenue does not just, materialize because a referee blows a whistle and a ball rolls across some grass.
No, definitely not.
It requires a highly orchestrated, globally synchronized network of revenue streams.
So let's figure out where that capital is actually flowing from. Because you might logically assume that to find the money, you'd start at the stadium ticket booth.
That would be the obvious guess, yeah.
But to understand the true economic engine of this tournament, we actually have to look at the screen in your living room. Or, the phone in your pocket.
Exactly, because the largest rivers of cash are generated through digital real estate.
Right.
The lion's share of this $13 billion pie comes directly from television and digital streaming rights.
Which is huge.
It is. We are talking about hundreds of broadcasters, television networks, streaming platforms all over the globe, aggressively outbidding each other. They want the exclusive right to show these matches in their specific territories.
And they pay a premium for that?
A massive premium, because they know that billions of fans are going to be glued to their screens. This single revenue stream is estimated to bring in an astronomical $4.8 billion.
Okay, wait. I'm looking at this $4.8 billion broadcast figure, and I'm honestly struggling to understand the underlying math here.
How so?
Well, how does any television network make that money back in ad sales in just a 4-week window? It seems like an impossible return on investment. I mean, you can only run so many commercials.
Yeah, if you view it purely as a short-term transaction of, buying the rights and selling 30-second commercials during halftime, the math absolutely does not work.
Right. They'd be losing money.
Exactly. But broadcasters are playing a much longer game here. In today's highly fragmented media landscape, live sports, and specifically this tournament, is the very last piece of what we call DVR-proof content on Earth.
Oh, meaning you have to watch it live.
You have to watch it live. You can't record it and skip the ads later or wait a week to watch it. You'll get spoiled immediately.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Right. So networks are paying this massive premium because acquiring these rights acts as a giant funnel for subscriber acquisition.
Okay, so they're pulling you into their ecosystem.
Exactly. They are using the tournament to lock you into their broader ecosystem, secure those annual subscriptions, and command premium rates for brand integrations that last far beyond the final whistle.
That makes a lot of sense. It's an acquisition cost, not just a programming cost.
Precisely.
Which perfectly sets up the second major pillar of this digital real estate, right? Corporate sponsorships.
Oh, yeah.
Because according to the source material, This brings in a projected $3.1 billion.
Yes.
And the way companies fight to be designated as an official partner is just cutthroat.
The corporate positioning is incredibly aggressive because brands are essentially buying into the global emotional resonance of the sport.
The passion.
Right. Football evokes a passion that very few things on earth can match. So when a brand attaches itself to that passion, they are executing an emotional transfer.
An emotional transfer.
Yeah, they're hoping to turn a fan's fierce loyalty to a specific team into loyalty to a soft drink or a credit card or a smartphone brand.
Wow. You know, the analogy that came to mind while reading The Golden Whistle is that the tournament acts as the ultimate digital billboard.
That's a good way to put it.
But it's a completely exclusive one.
Yeah.
And the mechanics of how they enforce that exclusivity is fascinating to me. It's not just sticking a company logo on a concrete wall somewhere in the background.
No, not at all.
It is a locked-down, fully integrated ecosystem.
Yeah, you have to take that billboard analogy a step further. It is not just about placing a logo where the camera can see it. It is about actively eliminating the competition from the consumer's reality for an entire month.
Wait, eliminating them how?
Well, the organizers enforce strict exclusion zones around the stadiums.
Okay.
This means if a specific beverage company is the official sponsor, no competitor's product can be sold or even marketed within a massive radius of the venue.
That's intense.
They heavily police what is called ambush marketing to ensure that the $3.1 billion the sponsors paid buys them a total psychological monopoly over the event.
A psychological monopoly. So
Yeah.
when you sit on your couch wearing your team's jersey and you specifically choose to crack open a certain brand of soda during a tense penalty shootout,
Yes.
you are essentially completing a multi-billion-dollar emotional transfer.
You're the final node in that transaction.
That is incredible. So if we do the math, we add the $4.8 billion from broadcasting and the $3.1 billion from sponsorships.
Right.
That is nearly $8 billion
Yeah.
generated entirely through screens and brand associations. That covers the digital real estate.
It does.
But that emotional connection doesn't just stop at the screen. It translates into a physical need for fans to actually be there, to wear their loyalty in person.
Yeah, they want to be part of the moment.
Which triggers an entirely separate multi-billion-dollar supply chain on the
The
ground.
ground game. And while it represents a smaller slice of the pie compared to, the broadcasting side,
Right.
the sheer volume of capital moving through physical spaces is still staggering. Like, let's look at ticketing and VIP hospitality.
Okay.
That brings in roughly $1.8 billion.
1.8 billion. Because fans travel from virtually every corner of the globe. And regular tickets for popular matches, they routinely sell out in a matter of seconds.
Oh, instantly.
But looking at the breakdown of the source material, the regular fan buying a standard seat isn't actually moving the needle that much, are they?
No. The standard ticket provides volume, but the VIP hospitality segment provides the margin.
The margin. So we're talking about the luxury suites, the premium catering, the exclusive behind-the-scenes access.
Exactly. Consider the underlying mechanism of VIP hospitality. These packages can cost individual buyers or corporations lakhs of rupees per match.
Which is insane for 90 minutes of football.
It is. But for multinational corporations, buying a luxury suite isn't really about watching the game.
It's not.
No, it's about elite B2B networking. You are putting a CEO, a government official, and maybe a major supplier in an enclosed, highly emotionally charged room for 3 hours.
Oh, I see.
The business deals struck in those hospitality suites easily justify the exorbitant price tag, which is why that specific sector is a massive profit multiplier for the organizers, driving that $1.8 billion figure.
Okay, I have to push back here, though. Let's look at the ledger for a second.
Sure.
If the broadcasting rights are worth almost 3 times as much as the physical ticket sales and hospitality combined, why do the organizers even care about the massive logistical nightmare of physical attendees?
It's a fair question.
I mean, if the goal is pure profit, wouldn't it be easier and vastly cheaper to just play the games in an empty, highly controlled studio facility and broadcast the signal out to the networks? Like, why bother with the crowds?
It is a totally logical economic question,
Yeah.
but it completely misses the core psychology of the sports entertainment business.
How so?
Well, if you play the matches in an empty studio, the television broadcast actually loses the vast majority of its value.
Because the broadcast value inherently depends on the people sitting in the seats.
Completely. Think about what those networks are actually paying $4.8 billion for.
Right.
They aren't paying to show 22 athletes kicking a synthetic sphere on a patch of grass.
No.
They are paying for the spectacle, the tension. They need the deafening roar of 60,000 people when a goal is scored.
That atmosphere.
Yeah, they need the camera to cut to the stands to show thousands of people crying, cheering, just living and dying on every single pass. The physical attendees in the stadium, they are the product. They provide the raw emotional context that makes the television signal worth billions of dollars to the viewer at home.
So the fans in the stadium, paying their own money to be there, are essentially the unpaid set dressing for the global broadcast.
Pretty much.
They validate the emotion for the viewer at home.
That is exactly how the entertainment mechanism functions.
That is, I mean, it makes sense, but wow. And speaking of validating that emotion, we have to look at how that spills over into merchandise and licensing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you have the licensing of the official logo, the sales of official jerseys, footballs, souvenirs. But reading through the breakdown in the Golden Whistle, what really struck me is how rapidly this has expanded beyond physical scarves and caps.
Oh, the digital footprint of merchandising is expanding exponentially right now.
Right. The brand extends deeply into officially licensed video games, digital platforms, virtual collectibles.
That's a whole new frontier.
It is. Like when you buy a virtual, officially licensed jersey for your avatar in a football video game, you might think you're just interacting with some software developer.
Yeah.
But you're actually feeding directly into this exact same global economic engine. The licensing fees from a digital transaction in a video game, they flow right back into that baseline 1.1 lakh crore rupee projection.
It's brilliant, really. But, this brings us to a crucial pivot in this business case study.
Okay, that's that.
Hearing about these billions flowing in from networks, sponsors, VIPs, video gamers, it is very easy to assume that this is all pure profit, just sitting in a vault in Switzerland somewhere.
Right, like they're just swimming in cash like Scrooge McDuck.
Exactly. But generating $13 billion requires spending an absolute fortune. We have to look at the balance sheet.
Yeah, the overhead to run a global event of this magnitude must be astronomical. I mean, you aren't just renting a stadium for a weekend.
No, the logistical expenses are almost difficult to comprehend.
Give us a sense of it.
Well, the organizing body is effectively building and operating a hyper-secure pop-up city across multiple locations simultaneously.
A pop-up city.
Yeah, think about the underlying costs. You need state-of-the-art security grids, not just for the stadiums, but for the training camps, the hotels, the transport routes.
Oh, right, all the infrastructure around it.
Right, and you have to build and maintain massive international broadcast centers. These are essentially miniature tech cities built just to ensure those $4.8 billion television signals are beamed perfectly around the world without a single second of latency.
That can't be cheap.
It's incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Then you have the referee technologies like VAR and semi-automated offside tracking, massive staff payrolls, world-class luxury accommodations for all the participating teams.
Which actually raises an obvious question about the workforce.
Yeah.
What about the teams themselves, the actual athletes on the pitch who are executing the product?
The talent.
Right, the talent. How much of this $13 billion pie do they actually get to take home?
It's an interesting breakdown. Let's use the 2022 Qatar tournament as our specific case study for how prize money is distributed.
Perfect.
In that specific tournament, the total prize money distributed among all the participating teams was $440 million.
Okay, $440 million. That's about 3,600 crore rupees distributed among all 32 teams.
Correct. And if we look specifically at the team that won the entire tournament, the ultimate champions who lifted the trophy.
The winners.
Right. They took home $42 million, which is approximately 345 crore rupees.
$42 million for the winning team. Now, on an individual level, that is an incredible payday for a National Football Federation.
Absolutely.
But look at the math here. If you compare a $42 million payout to the $13 billion in total revenue generated, it's basically a rounding error.
It really is.
Even the entire combined prize pool of $440 million is a relatively small fraction of the capital flowing through the system.
It clearly illustrates the sheer scale of the corporate entity running the show. The compensation for the talent, meaning the athletes and their federations, while objectively very large, is ultimately just one line item on a massive corporate balance sheet.
It's mind-blowing when you put it like that. So we've tracked the incoming revenue streams, and we've looked at the internal overhead and the prize money payouts.
Right.
But if we stop there, we are missing the biggest piece of the economic puzzle.
We are.
Because if the organizing body is pocketing billions while keeping their own overhead tightly managed, someone has to be absorbing the heaviest physical costs. We need to zoom out to the macroeconomy and look at the host country.
Yes. The host country's ledger is arguably the most fascinating and high-stakes economic dynamic of the entire ecosystem.
Based on the source material, I've been trying to conceptualize the host country's role, and it feels like deciding to throw the world's most expensive, lavish house party,
Okay.
but you have to build the entire house from scratch just for the weekend of the party.
That is a very accurate analogy. And the catch to that house party is that the organizers bring the DJ, they take all the ticket money out the door, they keep the lucrative bar tab for themselves,
Oh, wow.
and they leave you, the host, with the massive mortgage for the new extension and the cleanup bill.
That is brutal. I
Yeah.
mean, so why on earth would any sovereign nation actively campaign and bid to host this party? What is the actual upside for them to take on that kind of economic gamble?
There are a few strategic reasons a country takes on this risk. On the immediate, tangible side, you have a massive sudden influx of foreign tourism.
Sure.
Hundreds of thousands of people descend on the region. They're booking hotels, eating at restaurants, taking taxis, spending money in local businesses. It is a concentrated injection of foreign capital.
Right, a nice little boost to the local economy.
But the real reason goes deeper into macroeconomic strategy. Many host nations use the tournament as a hard deadline to fast-track national infrastructure plans that were already on the books.
It's a catalyst for development.
Exactly. If a country knows they have to host the world in 10 years, suddenly the political gridlock clears up.
I see.
They can justify spending billions to modernize their highways, build entirely new public metro systems like we saw in Qatar, and expand their international airports. It forces modernization.
That makes sense.
Plus, you have the intangible but highly valuable element of soft power.
Right, the global prestige.
Yeah, you get to showcase your nation's capabilities and culture to 4 billion people on a global stage.
But the negative side of the ledger for the host is the astronomical capital cost. Because, to be clear, all of those massive infrastructure costs, the 60,000-seat stadiums, the roads, the transit systems, those are entirely financed by the host nation, not by the tournament organizer.
Correct. The host nation absorbs the debt and the construction risk, banking entirely on the hope that the short-term tourism boom and the long-term modernized infrastructure will eventually outweigh the massive upfront investment.
So let me get this straight. The host country is paying for all the physical concrete and steel. The broadcasters and sponsors are pouring in billions for the digital rights.
Yep.
The organizers pay their operational overhead and the prize money. So what happens to the leftover profit? Where does that capital actually end up?
This is a crucial mechanism to understand because the organizing body operates technically as a non-profit entity.
Really? A nonprofit?
Technically, yes. They essentially act as a global development fund for the sport.
Okay.
The mandate is to take a significant portion of those leftover profits and systematically pour it back into the global football infrastructure across their 211 member associations.
So how does that reinvestment actually work in practice? I mean, where does the money go?
They execute this through structured development programs. The capital is distributed in the form of grants to national federations.
I see.
This money is used to fund new training centers in developing nations, ensuring that grassroots talent has a place to train. They invest heavily in youth development programs and the rapid global expansion of women's football. They fund advanced training for referees.
So they're basically investing in their future supply chain.
From a business perspective, absolutely. Perhaps most importantly, they provide vital baseline financial aid to the football associations in smaller nations who otherwise wouldn't have the domestic revenue to stay afloat.
Which keeps the whole global system running.
Exactly. They are subsidizing the global ecosystem to ensure that the talent pool continues to grow, which in turn guarantees that the product remains premium for the next 4-year cycle.
So they can go back to the broadcasters and sponsors and demand another $13 billion.
Precisely. It is a brilliantly closed loop.
Wow. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, when we put all these complex pieces together?
It's a lot to take in.
It is. As our deep dive into the Golden Whistle comes to a close, I think the core realization here is that this tournament is so much more than just a sporting event.
It really is.
It is a highly optimized, incredibly powerful global economic force. It's this rare phenomenon where raw human emotion and cutthroat corporate strategy perfectly intersect.
Beautifully said.
When a player steps onto the pitch, it's not just a game. It is the combination of billions of dollars of financial transactions, infrastructure debts, and digital media rights, all activating simultaneously across the globe.
It truly is the ultimate nexus of culture and commerce. And, to wrap up this case study, I'd say consider the fundamental business arrangement we just analyzed between the central organizers and the host nations.
Right.
The organizing body controls the highly profitable, relatively low-risk digital real estate, the broadcast rights, and the global sponsorships.
While the host takes the heavy lifting.
Right. Meanwhile, the host country takes on the massive high-risk physical real estate, the stadiums, the debt, and the infrastructure costs in exchange for a temporary economic injection and global prestige.
The digital assets versus the physical concrete.
Precisely. So the next time you sit down and watch a match, maybe wearing your team's jersey or drinking an official sponsor's beverage, look past the athletes on the field for just a moment. Look at the stadium they are playing in and ask yourself, in the ultimate macroeconomic case study of this tournament, who is actually walking away with the better deal?
Man, that is a fantastic and provocative question for you to chew on.
It really makes you think.
It does. Thank you so much for joining us on this